10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3. Good luck, studio.
Hello.
The Shiloh Podcast.
All I wanted was a pie, and then I hatched out of an egg.
Okay, bring the mic over. He's ready to record.
It's the quiet ones you've got to watch, you know.
Is it metaphorical? Is it deep? Is it deep?
Boy, he said all that shy is right.
Blimey, Governor, it's the Shy Life Podcast.
Bonjour et bienvenue au podcast The Shy Life.
Hello and welcome to another episode of the Shy Life Podcast with me, Paul the Shy Yeti. How are you doing? Oh, I'm all right. So, what's this episode going to be about? Well, it's actually going to be our review of the year as far as the podcast is concerned. We don't care about the world beyond the podcast particularly. 2022 was a very exciting year on the podcast as far as I'm concerned, so that's quite enough to discuss. The big question this year is, did we release more episodes this year than in any other year? I think I've probably said before, each year I kind of think, am I going to manage to reach that 100 episodes? It's hard to tell. I mean, yes, I release a lot of episodes, but I've never quite released as many as 100 in one year. But, well, there's hope in 2022 because, the podcast was my full-time employment. As good as. I wasn't having to go to work and I was able to focus on the podcast, although I did have health issues that certainly slowed down my editing at times with the rheumatism. But anyway, let's see. I won't reveal how many episodes we released, but let's run that theme music, and when we come back, we'll start to run through the most notable episodes of 2022, and we'll have plenty of clips for you. Okay, let's run that theme music.
Darling, it's the Shy Life Podcast.
Yes, but it's a positive thing, Paul. The high life, the shy life.
You won't find a cast of characters like this everywhere.
Hello, Paul.
I'll go anywhere for a potato.
Delicious.
Hello, Captains. How are you?
You quite like a big bang, don't you, Paul?
Oh, yippee.
Go Shy Yeti.
Oh, he hasn't found out my secret. Yes, he has.
If you thought that was bad, just listen to this.
Yeah, I'm strangely drawn to Yeti Uncle John's ankles as well.
But has the Shy Life Podcast slowed down? I don't think so.
It's all gooey and easy. Yum.
Has everyone seen my hot sausage?
Oh, I can't wait. I can't wait for it to begin.
It's the Shy Life Podcast.
I'd like that, yeah.
Marvellous, Paul.
So, I think it's time to get going. The regulars might pop in during the course of the episode. We're not having special guests. We didn't have them last year either, partly because there were just so many clips to share. And I've still got some recordings from 2020 from the review of the year when we did have guests. And I didn't have room to use all of the chats. So at some point, maybe I'm going to keep the recordings until it's like quite a few years down the line, and then I'll do a special, flashback to 2020 episode. It seems a shame to not have used all that material that I recorded with the special guests. Anyway, so where were we at the start of January 2022? Well, in January we released 8 episodes, and the very first episode of 2022 was episode 497, Paul and Jay's New Year's Day Spectacular, which, it was a nice way to start the year with Jay the Haunt Cub as our guest, and plenty of silly goings on.
Well, Jay, thank you for being here. Yes, I have done a few of these before, but, it's just trying out my hand, as it were. If you could just strike a natural pose, please. Okay. Yeah, that's very good. Yes, very nice. Maybe just turn around a little bit. Mm-hmm. Right, yes. and maybe there's some mud on the floor. If you like, just pick it up and sort of hold it in your hand.
Okay.
Yeah, and now maybe perhaps just smear it for your hair. Oh, you haven't got much hair, but for your beard. For your beard. Yeah.
Okay, if that's what you're looking for, sure.
Oh, yeah. It's sort of caveman. Yeah.
Kind of gross. Go ahead.
Yeah, there are people out there who like this sort of thing. And the only work I'm getting at the moment is Caveman Weekly. So I know he doesn't. He seems a bit strange, but I did try and get Bettina Dupre to take part as a cave woman, like a matriarch cave woman.
And she agreed?
She wasn't having any of it, which is why I thought of you instead. But maybe just sort of strike a pose. I'm running out of what else is it that photographers say? There's a fur thing there. If you just like to slip that on, like a then you'll be like a proper caveman.
Okay.
Yes.
Where did this mud come from, anyway?
Mud? Oh, I just found it outside the house. I think it's mud, but maybe grab that club, and look all like a angry caveman.
I can do that.
Yeah. Oh, that's quite realistic. You look like you're really cross. But,
I wonder why.
Maybe. I wonder if Property's made your virtual reality dinosaur yet. No, that's probably too soon. Yes. There's strike a pose again. Yeah. There must be some other things you can say. Pull a face, like an angry face, and even angrier.
Okay.
Yes. Yeah, you do know you're not being paid. Even angrier, that's right, that's better, yeah. Now, whilst you're there, I've got some comics that you might be interested in. Very old copies of Wonder Woman where she's blue. Are you interested? No. Oh dear.
Those are pretty rare, aren't they?
Yes, they are. Just going to go and back in a minute. Back a bit. Just stay. Start.
Okay.
I'm putting you on.
It's like this?
Yes, that's right. Yes.
Okay.
Yes. I'll back in a minute.
Okay.
Oh dear. I haven't got any film in this camera. I'll wait till he finds out. I think I better run. I better go. Just stay there. I'll be back in a minute.
Sure.
Dear, oh dear.
Following that, we had episode 498, The Rise of the Yoga Vampires. Well, there's been a lot going on with the Yoga Vampires in 2022. Although, as of speaking, hopefully, Max Dupre, our resident vampire, I don't know if he's a slayer. No, he is a slayer, I suppose. But he's also a vampire himself. But he's, not to mention being Bettina Dupre's ex-husband. We didn't know any of that at the start of the year, and I hope I haven't spoilt anything. It was a few months ago we learned all this, but anyway, yes, the episode set at Bettina's garden party is when we learnt the truth about Max Dupre. But anyway, the Yoga Vampires kept popping up throughout the year, and this episode, 498, was the first time we saw them this year.
Oh my dear, it's very cold here today. I don't know why we don't meet indoors. Oh darling, it's an extreme version of yoga. I think, you know, the coolness of the air vibrates one's body. Oh yes, my darling, I'm definitely vibrating. Where are they then? I'm not sure, maybe we're early. Oh dear, oh dear. Oh, there's a group of people coming now. Do you think this is them? Oh, yes, it's quite possible. Good. Well, they know we're coming. Oh, I'm glad. This is exciting. Very exciting, isn't it, Tallulah? Very exciting. I can't see them by the canal. Where do you think they've got to?
I'm not sure, Martin. Property, any sign of the yoga group? I've not seen anybody yet, but it's possible that they've changed location. I mean, not in a major way, but let me look at this email that I've got in case there's any clue. Oh yeah, right, yes, you had that email. Did you reply to the text? I did. I said that I would be there, but that I'm a bit, under the weather still. Okay, yes. Martin, perhaps you should call them. Call your mum.
I did actually. I did try. There's no reception.
Oh, of course not with the M25. Oh, blimey! I could try Bettina, but I don't think I've got any reception either.
Oh dear, Paul.
Oh dear. Somebody, what's wrong? Oh dear. The email, it says that we want to welcome 2 new members of the group today. Bettina Dupre and Tallulah Twinklehorn. What? Oh, God. Oh, Paul. Why did they not tell us? Oh, maybe it was a surprise. Did they not know you weren't going anymore? No, Paul, I've not discussed the yoga group with them. Oh, dear. Bettina did say something about... Did she say that she'd been given a card by the leader of the group? The leader of the group. The one I'm most fearful of. The ringleader of the inner circle. Oh, look, we mustn't worry. Because they're not going to do anything on this first meeting. How do you know that, Paul? They may be invited for a drink afterwards. Yeah, but they wouldn't go to it because we already knew they were coming over to the house.
Oh, Paul, Mum, I can't have her being eaten by a vampire. I've only just met her.
Following that, we had episode 499, the one before episode 500, which I can't remember a lot about, but I guess it was building up towards things happening in 500. I mean, it's got to be, hasn't it? Thinking about it, this was all building up to Yeti Uncle John being released from Shame Jail, and Ick being poised to give birth. Not only that, but I was sulking with Toppy Smelly because I'd found out that he'd helped Yeti Uncle John escape from Shame Jail back in the autumn of 2021. So yes, there was a lot of tensions running high.
Property. I didn't expect a phone call from you. I thought I was... I'll be seeing you in... tomorrow. Next episode. Yes, Uncle John, just a very quick call. I needed to tell you something. Oh, yes, you sound serious. Well, yes. Paul has found out about Toppy's involvement in your escape. What? He's done what? How's he done that? Oh, well, it was not me. But, he was talking to Toppy. Toppy called up and he let slip about his involvement. He thought Paul knew for a start. He thought it was a bit of a laugh because it was all resolved. It was fine. And, Paul was very upset. He cut him off. He said that Toppy is banned from episode 500, at least in any meaningful way. I'm really sorry. We should have told him. Yes, you should have told him before now. Or maybe, well, I don't know. I don't know what the right thing to do. I know why we did not tell him. We did not tell Paul because we did not want to upset him or get him cross with you. We did not want him to know for sure. It was better to say the Fortnite guys, than to say Toppy Smelly brought a file in. Yes, that's why. We didn't want Toppy to get, into trouble either. Yes, I think that's the main thing. We did not want him to get into trouble, but he's gone and blown his own cover. Well, Paul will get over it, won't he? Well, I'm sure he will get over it. He's even said he'll probably get over it. But he won't get over it next episode. So don't expect him to be waiting to see you for when you are released. Oh, that's a shame. Well, is he really upset? He is very upset, Uncle John. Yes, very, 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 very upset. He's even upset with the listeners. He's cross with them for the same reason he's cross with me. I can't even remember who knew. I think a lot of us knew, basically. Most of us knew. I don't think Tallulah knew. No, well, I don't think Tallulah knew, no, because we don't involve her in naughty things that you've done. Oh, that's charming. Don't go pretending you're all innocent. I know, all right. So he's cross. So what's he said? He said he would not be there for your release and that he would just be taking part in X plotline. He would not be mixing. Did he? No, I can't remember. I can't remember either, but Paul said it doesn't matter whether he knew or not. He has his own troubles, busyness. Being pregnant, he couldn't be expected to have told. Oh dear. What a mess. He's a good man, he's Toppy Smelly. He's a good friend to me. Yes, well, Toppy, and you agree on the issue of you being in shame jail, in that you should not have been in there, but he's about the only one. Oh, Cromitty, you don't think I should have been in shame jail, do you? Yes, I do, because you've been a bad boy, which is part of your appeal to me, but there you go. Oh, Cromitty, you're naughty in your own way. Stop it now, come on. I'm just telling you, I just wanted to tell you, it's a short call. It's turning into a long call, so I need to go. So, don't expect to see Paul in episode 500. We need to try and clear this mess up. We need to try and save his friendship with Toppy. I don't want them to fall out. They are good friends. It's very important that they are friends.
So following that, we had episode 500, celebrations, surprises, and little baby aliens. There was a lot going on in episode 500. Yes, Yet Younger John was released. Yes, Ik did give birth to Uck. But there was a lot of other things going on. It's all happening here. Ik is, he is, and I'm not sure I can cope, but I'm having little breaks. Anyway, I hope Cromitty's on the way. He didn't reply to my text for a while, and then suddenly he did. I think the reception was bad. Apparently, Yeti Uncle John has some revelation. I don't know the full details. You probably know more. Something to do with the shame inspectors and getting revenge on them. Oh dear, it can't end well. I hope you enjoyed our little montage of some of Ik's best moments. Oh dear. Let's just peep in and see how it's going. I'm supposed to be in the room with him, but I don't think he's noticed that I haven't been. I don't think I want to see the full. Well, everything that's going on. I don't think I want to see it all. No, it's too much. But let's have a peep around the door.
Keep pushing, Ik. Keep pushing. You're doing a good job. Not much longer now. Not much longer.
Oh, that's quite enough for me. Sounds like things are going well, though. Oh dear. Once you've seen one alien giving birth, you really don't want to see another one. I haven't really seen any, but, well, just that bit there. But anyway, Paul, I'm here. Oh, Cromitty, thank goodness. Ik's giving birth. Has he given birth yet? No, look around the door if you want. No, okay.
keep pushing. Keep pushing, Ick. It won't be much longer.
Do you think we need to make tea and coffee? We could do, for us or for them. Well, we could ask them. Well, maybe we shouldn't disturb them. Maybe we should make tea and coffee for ourselves.
Episode 501 was called Aftermaths, Old Friends and Odd Goings On. So we came out the other side. Giddy Uncle John was back home. Ick was a new parent. And, I still had to face up to how cross I was about Toppy Smelly.
Oh dear. Oh, the phone. Maybe there'll be some excitement via the phone. Oh, hello. Shayeti Mansions. Can I help?
Hello, darling. How are you? It's me, Bettina.
Oh, hello. Hello. It's lovely to hear from you. What's going on?
Well, we just wanted to know if there was any developments, How's Ick doing?
Oh, I think he's resting up. We're going to go and speak to him later. His child is very big.
Oh, right.
I mean, when I say big, he is fully adult. He's almost like a clone of Ick, but with, like, an evil moustache.
I'm sorry, dear.
Well, he has, like, stubble. He speaks in a strange Cockney-style accent. I think he might be evil. You can't say that. Cromitty. Well, it's just what I'm thinking. I saw him. I spoke to him. And he was very sinister. I found him very sinister.
Oh, goodness me. Now, that doesn't sound good. What does Ick say?
Bettina, it's me, Getty Uncle John.
Oh, hello, darling. How are you doing back home?
Oh, fine. Try to take photos of Cromitty, but he doesn't want to be my subject.
Oh, I'm sure if you asked him nicely.
Oh, really? I don't think we should talk about this.
Well, I was asking about Ick anyway.
Apparently, Ick, all we can see is a lovely baby. I mean, obviously he's not baby-sized, but anyway, what I mean is that he doesn't see anything sinister about it.
Oh, really? Golly.
Well, let's not get too worried about it for now.
Talking about Toppy, episode 502, released on the 21st of January, was called Toppy and the Return of the Tape Zine Kids. Now, this was an episode with Nick and I, and late in 2021, we'd released an episode about tape zines, and particularly a tape zine called RPS, which was Nick's tape zine from the late 80s into the 90s. And Toppy had let us know that he was really kind of fascinated, and although he knows, about certain TV shows that he was a fan of, he'd never really heard of people doing tape zines, which were basically, forerunner to podcasts, I suppose, rather than fanzines, which were printed, which I was certainly involved with one or two of those. Yeah, tape zines were the things in the late 80s and 90s. And, of course, really, there is very little difference between a tape zine and a podcast, except that a tape zine tended to be sort of a magazine on tape. So it might be an hour and a half, a C90 tape, two sides, 45 minutes each, with various different guests doing articles, a bit like some of the episodes of the Shy Life podcast, or a bit like Round the Archives, for instance, which is also a sort of modern-day magazine show. Anyway, Toppy had questions for us, and that's what that episode was about.
I want to talk about the technology behind tape zines and this miraculous thing that happened sometime in the mid-'70s or before or a little after. I'm not exactly sure, but it was this little thing called a tape cassette recorder. I bet each of us has a story about getting their first little, maybe Panasonic, tape recorder machine with a condensed mic, or sometimes a cord you could plug in with a different kind of mic. Mine had a condensed mic. Anyways, I got mine on my... How old are you when you are in first year of junior high? Anyways, young. Anyways, but I got my Panasonic tape cassette recorder for a birthday present. And it changed my life.
Following that, on the 23rd of January, we released episode 503, Shy Yeti's Super Snore-Free Sleepover Party. I must admit, slightly having forgotten what that one's about. So I think it's definitely one I should put a clip of on right now. But anyway, still not told you who is my sleepover buddy. Well, obviously not Yeti Uncle John, because he's been in shame jail. And I can't imagine sharing a bedroom with him. It would be cataclysmic. Martin, he usually does his own thing. Ick has his spaceship. Of late, he's been being pregnant and stuff, so yeah, likes his own space. So my sleepover buddy is Cromitty, which is kind of nice because he lets you speak. He doesn't interrupt too much, but he'll say a few things, encourage you along. And I've also known him for a very long time, so he knows he knows the background of some of the stories or situations that I'm waffling on about. But anyway, well, let's play the first of the sleepover chats, and and then we'll move on to something else, and then another chat, and then something else. And anyway, we'll see how it goes. Okay, have a listen, get all cozy and snuggle up for bed, and here comes the first of the sleepover chats with Cromitty.
I'm very sleepy though. I don't know how long I will stay awake to chat. That's okay. That's okay. I used to have a lot of sleepovers back in the day. Various different friends' houses. Nick, particularly, used to have this little chair that would fold out into a sort of ramshackle bed thing. I think I remember that, Paul. I forget you were there for a lot of it. Then I remember, of course, back in those days, you used to be able to sleep on the floor. You'd sleep on the floor at friends' houses or on sofas. But often, sort of, at university, people only had one room. Yes, of course, Paul. I must have slept in the same room as Harry many times, but I don't remember us having long late night chats. Definitely did with Nick. I remember sleeping on the floor at my friend Robin's rooms at Oxford University. He was at Magdalen College. Again, I don't remember if he was much of a chatterer. My friend George, who appeared as Basil in Sutton Park, I used to go around his house after we'd moved out of the house in Camberley. But again, you probably remember things like this. Oh, yes, Paul. I remember you moved out of Camberley. Yeah, and George moved to Aldershot. But I used to go round to his house or his room to watch TV and record Sutton Park. And, I think he had a mattress. Like a spare mattress that I could sleep on, which sort of took up most of the spare space in the room. But
the final episode of January was released on the 28th of Jan, and it was episode 504, and it was called Junk Food, the 20th Anniversary and More. Now, from what I can remember, yes, I know it's only 12 months ago, or less than that, but this was a poetry episode celebrating the 20th anniversary of my collection, Junk Food. I think also it possibly celebrated some other little collections I've done. I might be wrong there. But anyway, it was a poetry episode. And Junk Food was written at a time when I was only just getting back into writing poems. And it even contained some that I'd written back in sort of 1992 as well. So in a way, some of the contents are 30 years old. I think you can definitely see quite a range of, I don't know, you can tell that some of the poems are older or certainly more, I don't know, more basic, for want of a better word. And then there are some others that are sort of more advanced, I suppose. And also, I started doing not only rhymes, but prose poems, or I'm never really sure what they were. I wouldn't say they were poems, that they were more prose pieces, but written in a sort of more stilted style. Yeah, they were somewhere between a poem and a piece of short prose, but anyway, it was nice to be able to celebrate that collection.
Okay, the Sorry Tale of Fred the Dinosaur. When Earth was young, when Earth was small, there was hardly anyone at all, except a dinosaur named Fred, who was an attractive shade of red. See, life for Fred was rather boring, so he stood and took to roaring. Trouble was, still no one heard, except for Jill, a tiny bird. Now Jill would sing all day and night, sung all the songs and got them right. Fred loved Jill dearly, for he knew her, but was hungry, he'd have to stew her. He lay all weak and so defeaten. He looked quite ill and so browbeaten. "Jill," said Fred, "I'm feeling blue. I really like to eat you." Jill smiled and lit a fag with her lighter. "No, you can't," she said, "you little blighter." "Oh, my dear," said Fred with a sigh. "In that case, then, I'm going to die. Oh, the pain of my empty tummy. Alas, alack, I want me mummy." "Oh, well, I'm going now," said Fred. And with that he fell down dead. Jill smiled, then turned away and winked. So that's how dinosaurs became extinct. Oh dear, poor Fred. I know.
So into February, we released 7 episodes in February. Episode 505, released on the 2nd of February, is called Gonna Make You a Star, the Big Hits of 1974. This was where we reached the end of the road with our discussion with Martin about the songs of the 70s. We started in 1960 and we skipped through the 60s, and then we sort of finished off the 70s because, well, if you remember when Nick and I talked about the 70s, well, we did the 80s first, all out of order, then went backwards through the 70s, stopping around 75, I think, and then Martin and I sort of closed up that gap. But it wasn't the last musical episode that Martin and I put out this year, but it did sort of close the gap, shall we say, and complete our discussion of the 70s. Although, well, at the time of recording, I've already recorded 2 episodes with Martin, which will be out next year, which are also about the 70s. I guess I can say a little bit about that. I felt that having talked so much about music with Martin, it seemed a shame not to at least talk a bit about 70s and 80s music with him. But having done the years, I thought perhaps we'd talk about certain groups. So that's what we've done in the episodes we've recorded. Hopefully they'll be interesting to listen to, and we'll do more next year. But I have 2 in the can. And we sort of start around 75, talking about groups that were big around then, and then we creep along. I don't think there's too much repeating ourselves in the conversation, because when I talked to Nick about the 70s and 80s, we were sticking to sort of, the big hits, whereas our new series with Martin is hopefully more about big bands, and actually some of the smaller bands as well, one-hit wonders, and also looking at bands who had sort of ups and downs in their careers. Some really big bands who had sort of bad patches in their careers, perhaps in the late 70s or early 80s, and then came back strong as ever again. But anyway.
But I think for a while, the 3 Degrees were Prince Charles's favourite band. I don't know.
Oh, no, I believe so, yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes. In the sense that when Bunty Annual rings up and asks you those questions, what's your favourite band? What's your favourite colour? I suppose that the Palace had sort of stock answers that make you not look really square. Yes, I'm rather fond of Grabs looking. The 3 degrees, yes. If we picked it up another week, it would have been Motley Opal. It's just one of those things.
When will I see you again?
When will I see you again? Yes. When will I gurn in my microphone? Yeah, there's a lot of... Yeah. It's very weird, actually. Again, it is... There's an incredible sexualization of the outfits that women were wearing on stage. There'd be a lot of skin-tight, glittery catsuits and things like that in those days. And it is fascinating now because when you look at them and on shows like The Love Boat or something, it all looks massively cheesy, but at the time it was so normalized. This whole disco look, it's an incredible look and an incredible era, but it all now looks a little bit, ooh, dear me, no.
Dilly's very fond of the catsuit.
Ah, well, of course. Well, as long as it's not made of real cat.
Oh, no.
So that was our first episode of February. Our next episode was episode 506, Candid Confessions from Shy Yeti's 1990 Diary. Yes, around this time I had located my 1990 diary, and I decided it would be quite fun to read some bits from it. As it happens, I've ended up deciding to read every single entry, not necessarily word for word, but this particular episode is all about the diary. Since then, I've sort of used the diary in different ways, including our association with Radio.fm. But, I think at time of recording, we've reached about early March 1990. Although I don't know when you'll get to hear that. But anyway, I'm not rushing through. It is surprising how many things that I discuss in my 1990 diary are still relevant to today. Either that suggests that I'm a real throwback to 30 years ago, or, I guess, if you like a film, if you like a book, if they're those sorts of books or films that really stick with you, then 30 years later you do still like them. Also, there are many people who are named in the diary who are contributors to this podcast, and still friends of mine to this day. So, it's surprisingly relevant, at least I think it is. But the next episode we released was episode 507 on the 9th of February. It was called Shy Yeti's Early Valentine's Day Surprise. Every Valentine's has a bit of a surprise, but we should probably share some of the surprise with you now and play you a little clip.
Bettina, August, how are things?
Oh, darling, I'm so sorry. Oh, we didn't let you know. Oh, dear, I hear we've caused a bit of a stir. Oh, yes, we've caused a bit of a stir.
Well, I'm surprised you're back already. I thought that perhaps whilst you were in the States you might be going to visit Aunt Tappy or doing some sort of art exhibition, August. Oh, no, I will be going back soon, though. I'm in heavy demand in Pickle Hollow. Yes, so I hear. But anyway, Bettina, August, had you planned? The only person who seems to have known anything about it was Ick. Oh, yes, darling, but he didn't know we were going to get married. We just asked him if he could give us a quick ride over there, to avoid having to go on planes and things. Yes. My memories of Vegas is that we couldn't fly direct either, so it can be a bit tiring. Oh, I love that place. Especially in the winter and the spring. I just like when it gets dark early because all the lights, I appreciate the lights, whereas if you go in the summer, not only is it sweltering, but you have to wait so late, But you hadn't decided definitely that you were getting married? You kind of knew it was possibly on the cards? Well, yes, it's always in the back of our minds. I suppose it must be. What does Tallulah say? Oh, well, I had confided in her. We are very close.
Well, she is your sister, darling. Well, yes, there is that too. But then Martin is my nephew, as it turns out, and I didn't confide in him. But you two are quite close as well. I know. Well, Tallulah just wished us luck, if anything happened.
But, did Bettina propose to you, August, or did August propose to you, Bettina?
We did it at the same time, didn't we? Standing by, those big fountains. I forgot what they're called. Near the Paris, the little Eiffel Tower.
Oh, yes, those fountains. I've forgotten what they're called now myself. Oh, that's very romantic, though.
Isn't it, darling? Yes. Then we went to visit the Paris casino, and it was very romantic.
Well, all we can say is that we're extremely happy for you both. We are really pleased. I don't know if there's any more we can say at this moment. I mean, do you have many anecdotes about, the wedding, or?
Well, yes, but I'm going to put it in a book.
Put it in a book?
Yes. Well, of course, as you can imagine, August did a lot of painting whilst we were away. So we were thinking of putting together a coffee table book. All about the whole thing, with his paintings. And I'll write the blurb. I think it'll make a lovely book, yes.
Well, everyone's writing a book these days. I used to write books, and when I stopped writing books, everyone else started.
Oh, yes. Well...
Our next episode was episode 508, Shayeti's first chatterbox of 2022. But yes, well, it was, as it says, our first chatterbox of the year. We've continued with chatterboxes sporadically throughout 2022, every sort of 3 or 4 months, and there'll be another one coming up pretty soon. So, it, of course, chatterbox sort of evolved from what was my live 548 shows. We do a show live on 548 once a year when 548 have their live streaming weekend. But we sort of evolved into Chatterbox because the people who were in the chat room listening to the live 548 shows were mostly UK people or people like Toppy Smelly. And although they were in the chat room, it always seemed a shame they couldn't be involved. And either I don't have the tech, or partly because, I was broadcasting live at a time that suited me, but maybe in America wasn't really particularly convenient for people. And although those live shows always went out as podcasts, it just seemed more sense to do shows with those people who were about in the chat room listening to the live shows. So yes, that's how Chatterbox came about. At one point I was going to do them once a month, but they do need a bit of organising, and sometimes they need a bit of editing too, just because I have various different tracks that I have to sort of align, and everyone gets rather excited, and sometimes there is editing involved. So I think, doing it every 3 or 4 months is sort of the solution. And this year, I think there might be 1 or 2 exceptions. I feel like we had Nick in for 1 episode, and I know that Lisa wasn't around for 1 episode, but she recorded us a very good audio message, which we included. But generally, it's been Lisa, Troby, Martin, Toppy, myself, and Warren. I think Warren has been in most of them, if not all of them. This was definitely a year. Well, we had a number of people who became sort of regular contributors to the show. Warren, who'd been around and made the occasional appearance, sometimes in Chatterbox shows, if he happened to be over at Troby and Lisa's house when we were recording. But as you'll remember, Warren's been doing quite a lot of episodes with us. He's definitely one of the people who deserves a gold star this year for becoming a regular contributor. The other name I won't mention as yet, but I think you may be able to guess who I'm going to say. But so Our next episode was episode 509, Mr. Yeti's Star-Studded Natterfest. I think that was probably lots of chats with people. I mean, it sounds very much like Chatterbox, but I think it was notably different in that, yes, it was various different recordings that I'd made. Let's have a listen to a clip from that episode. Hi, Harry.
Oh,
Happy New Year, although it's a bit late by the time this comes out.
Happy New Year in February.
Yes. We're in the same pub I was in with Callum a few weeks ago, but not the listeners can tell. But yes, this episode is all about me pottering around and bumping into people that I know as well. It was going to be more of a holiday episode at one point, but then we didn't have a holiday in the end. But you are on holiday this week.
I am.
Are you? I remember you saying you were doing something later in the week. Are you actually going away somewhere?
So it's mostly staycation, which seems to have been the pattern really for the last 2 years, really. Yeah. But I've got a couple of days down in Brighton. I always like Brighton. Have a little wander along the seafront.
Yeah, I can't remember where you're off to. Do you have a hotel in Brighton that you've gone back to more than once? Because we used to have ones we went to, like when we used to go years ago.
Yes. We used to go to Catnaps, didn't we?
Oh yes, that's right. Yeah, I think that's right. Yeah,
which was nice enough when we were younger, but you had a shared bathroom, I think, and
I don't know if it was when I was with you. One of the times I went, I had like a bottle of Lucozade. And a little bottle, and it fell out of my bag as I was going up the stairs, and it kind of exploded like the wall or something.
That sounds familiar.
Is that when you were there?
But it's just something that you do, isn't it? Really?
But it's just very embarrassing. I think I got away with them not realising. I think I wiped it off quickly enough for them. Next up, we had episode 510, Jay the Hornet Cub's Awfully Busy Return. It was released on the 23rd of February, and yes, basically Jay was back. More nattering about virtual reality dinosaurs and Yeti Uncle John trying to get him to do inappropriate things. We are hoping to get Jay back soon to do the final handing over of the virtual reality dinosaur. You'll remember when it was my birthday, there was rumours of the virtual reality dinosaur being on the loose, but that turned out to be fake news. And no such thing was occurring. Before we go, we really do need to tell the listeners the news about Aragog. You better do it before I say something. So
okay. So once again, I was incorrect about Aragog's gender. She recently molted again, and I shared a photo of it on Facebook. And somebody who's a little more knowledgeable about the subject than I pointed out that it appeared that she was a girl and not a boy. So I watched some more videos and things and examined the skin, and it appears that he is correct. Aragog is back to being a female again, which means she's slightly misnamed from Harry Potter, but we're just going to have to deal with it because she already knows her name. So I'm not going to screw with that.
And didn't you tell me that the females live longer as well?
Yeah, they live
quite a bit.
Yes, considerably longer, and they are also usually larger and more colorful than the males are. So, I guess it's not a bad thing. But if I take a dirt nap before she does, then I'm going to have to find somebody that's willing to assume the responsibilities of having an intelligent spider in their midst.
Particularly if you do more photo shoots with Yeti Uncle John, the chance of you going up in a plume of smoke, going down a hill on a penny farthing made of matchsticks,
still picking beans out of my hair.
Yeah,
yeah, for sure.
So our last episode of February was episode 511, Nick G's very own spare bedroom book club. And that was a sort of, it was sort of related to what we'd done in previous years, where we'd done book club episodes where we both recommended books and we talked about them. Because in 2022, there were no lockdowns. I think, as I said before, it's relatively recently, but you begin to forget. But there were sort of limitations, most certainly during 2021. So although we saw each other more in 2021 than we'd seen each other in 2020, 2022 has been pretty much back to normal in that we've seen each other and been able to record with one another, although we've done a lot of episodes over Skype or Zoom as well. But this particular episode was a sort of book club episode, but we were actually at Nick's house in his spare bedroom in the room I stay when I go and visit. And I was, I could see the books in front of me and I'd be saying, oh, what about that one? Tell me about that one, Nick. Or what's that one about? And why do you like that one? So it was all about a number of shelves in Nick's spare bedroom of books that were his or Ali's, his wife, or, both their books. So we covered a lot more books than we would in perhaps a typical book club episode. But I think we covered quite a lot of different kinds of books, and from fiction to plays to sort of autobiographies of all manner of people. We've also got, is that a book on the Wicker Man?
Yes, it is, yes. You got me into the Wicker Man, actually. In fact, I discovered Edward Woodward in the same year, about 20 years ago. And you lent me... Did you lend me the Wicker Man? I can't remember.
I did have it.
I have a feeling I watched it with you. Ali and I watched it with you, and I thought, well, this is good, and bought our own copy. Have we? Yes, it's over there. We got a copy.
I've had a number of copies.
And there's this book again. I'm keen on behind the scenes stuff, and this is written by an aficionado with lots of interviews of the cast.
So we're into March now. We did 10 episodes in March, starting with episode 512 on the 2nd of March. Charlie Gurr and the Ever So Odd Pie Seance. This was all about, I was getting messages from the other dimension, and they seemed to be coming via Charlie Gurr, and he wasn't pleased about it. We're still resisting going anywhere in the other dimension. We had to do a pie seance to try and communicate with them, but it wasn't terribly successful, and they continued to bother us, and Charlie's still not pleased with me, but anyway.
So we are gathered here today to commune with the pies. Are there any spirits or voices out there that want to commune with us via this pie? Please, if there are, just knock once for yes, twice for no. If there are no ghosts, Sarah, they're going to knock twice. That's not what he means, Yeti Uncle John. He means if there are spirits, but they might not want to contact, so they'll just say no, passing on.
Oh, right, I see, yeah.
Oh dear. Quiet now, quiet. Let us listen. Is there any spirits that would like to contact us? That was a knock. So there are. Who is the message for? If you can hear us, say the name. Oh, there's no Ouija board then. Well, that's good. That takes ages, doesn't it? All the spelling out of messages. Oh, that is actually good. I was thinking, my spelling's not great, and sometimes it can be very confusing. I know your spelling's not good. I've seen that first draft of your autobiography. Yeah, you shouldn't have done. Be quiet, guys.
Shush now, shush.
Yes, be quiet. I repeat, if the spirit out there, please tell us, speak us the name of the person you have a message for. Shy Yeti. Oh, it's for me. We were kind of expecting it though, Paul. Well, I guess so. Shush, listen. So you wish to speak to Shy Yeti. What is it you want to say? We need your help. We need your help. In the other dimension. We need your help. Only you can help, Shy Yeti. Only you can help us. Help us. Help us.
Next up was episode 513, Shy Yeti, A Dull Voice for Radio. Now, this is what I mentioned, Radio.fm. Yeti Uncle John was involved with Radio.fm and trying to use my recordings for payment in biscuits. A lot of what was going on I wasn't aware of at the time, but I am now, and, well, I don't think he's sending things in anymore, but those biscuits caused a lot of trouble. But next up we have episode 514, Dating is Complicated When You're Cromitty. Yes, Cromitty is going through a little bit of a rocky patch in his love life, and this episode was all about that. Next up we had episode 515, released on the 11th of March, Once, Twice, Three Times a Random Word Show. And yes, so that was our third random word show, Nick and I. And we've done a number of others, and I've got at least two that are ready to release in 2023. There's been so much going on this year, and so we've ended up recording quite a lot that we'll cross over into next year. Although, to be fair, that does often happen. And we've even got one or two episodes recorded sort of, well, in 2021, maybe even in 2020. They just keep getting pushed back. I think I was saying something the other day, if I didn't record any more episodes, I think I've got enough episodes in the can to last me until March. So yeah. But obviously I am continuing to record new episodes. Okay, following that, we have episode 516, Alien Ick and the Slightly Awkward Tea Party. I think that was when we went over to Ick to sort of meet Uck. I may be wrong. No, I don't know where he is. I did text him and tell him that tea was being served, but no reply at all.
Oh, golly. Well, I think I'm quite full already.
Well, it's lovely of you to bring it over and treat me.
Well, I wanted to see you. I've not seen you for quite a while. I know you couldn't make it over to the ship with your leg problems.
Yeah.
I hope it gets better, Paul.
It usually does. Yes, just need to rest up.
I thought you might be making an excuse. I thought perhaps you didn't want to see. How can I?
Oh, no. No, of course we do. But anyway, Uck's away, isn't he?
Well, yes. Yes, he's gone to a horror conference.
Gosh. He really likes that sort of thing, doesn't he?
He does. Yes. When you're feeling better, you'll have to come over. You haven't seen him for ages.
I know. I really would like to.
He misses you, Paul.
Oh, well, he's a good boy.
Yes.
Here we are. I have made another pot of tea. All those sandwiches and cakes, they were delicious.
Well, there's plenty left over. If Uncle John does show up.
I don't know where he's got to. It's not like him to miss a nice spread like this. Oh no, he usually likes a nice spread, doesn't he? Yeah, he does.
I was just saying to Paul that you've not seen Uck in quite some time.
No, we haven't, but well, he always seems to be very busy. It would be nice to see him again soon.
Yes, as I was saying to Paul, he misses you.
Yes, and we miss him.
So you say, but do you though?
What do you mean?
Do you miss him?
Well, of course we do, yes. Yes, of course we do. He's your son after all.
Yes. Well, so you say. I don't think you like him very much.
Oh no, Ick, that's not true.
I think it is true, Paul. I don't think you like him one little bit.
Oh, Ick, please don't say that.
What is it? Are you jealous? Are you jealous of his intelligence?
No, we've never said we don't like him. You know, it is true. We are perhaps a little bit, children can be so noisy.
and I have so much work to do in my laboratory. So, and Paul is always busy editing. It's very difficult. We all have busy lives. But, if you need us to come and babysit, we'll always be free. Will we? Oh, yes, we will. We'd be free. Yeah, we'd love that. Definitely. Crobbity and I babysitting. Following that, on the 17th of March, we have episode 517, A Yeti Guide to the Big Hits of the early 1950s. This was the first of 4 episodes that Martin and I recorded about the music of the 1950s. I thought, having done the 60s, the 70s and the 80s and quite a bit of the 90s, that it would be quite good to go back right to the start of the sort of official UK charts. So we sort of covered what we could of the early 50s. There wasn't a lot of charts for the very early years. We sort of found mention of there being charts before this chart, but I think Martin has suggested that possibly that was sheet music was the nearest thing, rather than actually recorded records. But anyway, the chart sort of started a bit earlier in America, so we had a bit more information for America. But anyway, I think we covered about the first 3 or 4 years in that first episode, and then the next 3 episodes were like double episodes, were 2 years per episode for the rest of the 50s. But I wasn't sure how interesting it was going to be because, it was such a long time ago. But a lot of, as you go through the 50s, a lot of familiar names are coming up. Obviously Elvis and Buddy Holly and the Everly Brothers and Cliff Richard. And although a lot of the early 50s ones, I knew 1 or 2 songs. I think it was an interesting time to look into a bit more. Following that, we had episode 518, Bettina Evans Dupre and the Very Mysterious Art Commission. This is when sort of Max Dupre sort of first popped up again, I suppose. Although he had called, left messages for Bettina back in 2021, I think it was 2021. But yes, August got a commission for lots of portraits of Bettina, and he was very pleased to get the work. But Bettina was a little bit freaked out, and understandably wanted to know why and who, and well, we found out that Max was involved. So what is it you want to talk to me about? And why don't you want August to hear?
Well, because it partially involves me.
It involves you? Yes,
dear.
You're not regretting getting married to him?
Oh, no, dear. No, I don't mean that. No. It's a commission that he had recently. It's been a cause of concern for a while, but we've never really looked into it too much. I'm beginning to think I know who it is that has commissioned the portraits.
I think I vaguely know what you're talking about, Bettina. Is this the multiple portraits of you business?
That's exactly it, Paul. Yes, somebody commissioned August to do, I think it's like 175 portraits of me. I mean, it alarmed me when I heard it. I mean, I thought it might be, I don't know, I just couldn't imagine who would want so many portraits of me. I mean, I know I have my fans, but darling, that's a lot.
175 portraits is a lot. I mean, it's a good commission. I mean, wow, August will be raking it in, but as you say, it does make you wonder who wants them, especially as they haven't explained why they want them.
Yes, why me? I mean, if it was for some sort of film convention or something, I could understand, or something. I mean, if I just knew the reason. Well, I think I do know the reason. And I'm not very happy about it, but I don't know what to do about it.
Following that, we have episode 519, Babysitting for the Not-So-Tiny Alien Uck. Yes, Uck was growing fast, and we were all rather nervous of him. But, yes, we volunteered
to do some babysitting. Oh dear, Paul, I thought I'd never get here. I thought you'd never get here, Yeti Uncle John. Oh, what have you been up to? Oh, well, I was doing a photo shoot. Actually, we were doing like a lumberjack sort of scenario, trying to chop down a tree, but then the storm started and the tree fell on us. Luckily it missed us, but it did block the road. Yeah, I'm not 100% sure how much it was the storm that made the tree fall down or how much because we chopped it in the wrong direction so that when it fell into the road. But, yes. And who were you doing that with? Well, it was me and the magpies. The magpies? Yeah, they held the camera. I was playing the lumberjack. I thought I'd like to be in the shot. You know, I've got a kind of lumberjack persona. I mean, I like dressing as a lumberjack. Well, you know, it's a shame that Jay the Haunt Cub isn't here. I think he'd have made a good lumberjack. Oh, yeah. Well, it's kind of him who gave me the idea. Lumberjack Monthly. I think he appeared in it recently, and he showed me it when we were last doing our photo shoot. So I thought I'd like some of the action. Lumberjack Monthly. Yeah, for a special readership, I can tell you. But anyway, well, that's all very well, all very good. I hope the magpies weren't hurt. No, the magpies were fine. I thought it was quite quiet when we walked past. Well, we kind of went quite quickly past the magpie hut on the way to the ship earlier because of the storm. Is it any better out there? It's getting a little bit better. So what have you guys been doing? Oh, we've been watching films. We were going to watch something calming and cosy, but then we did not, because from what Ak said, little baby animals and romantic comedies, which we thought might calm him, actually enrage him. Oh, right. Well, so you're watching horror films after all? Yes. And did he do his homework? He did. And did Ick get off to his night out? All right. Well, as far as I know, I haven't had a text, but he went off he was beamed up to this space station, so I hope he's all right. Oh, I'm sure he'll be fine. Yes. So, I just stuck my head around the door. He looks quite sleepy. Is he? He must be the only person who watches a horror film and it makes him sleepy. How many have you watched so far? About 3. We watched Night of the Living Dead, Dawn of the Dead, and then Day of the Dead. He was laughing. Through some of it. I mean, there are some funny bits in Dawn of the Dead, sort of dark, black comedy bits in the shopping centre, but I don't know if I can watch anymore. I think he's getting tired. How many hot chocolates you had? Well, we had one for each film. Oh, yes. I'm beginning to flag now, Paul. Are you? Well, I've got a great idea. Maybe if you want to send him to bed. I brought this with me. Here. That's my 1990 diary. Yeah, I had to send it to Radio.fm so they could have a look, to see it actually existed. They couldn't believe that anyone could be quite as dull as you were in 1990. I told them you weren't much less dull now. Giddy Uncle John. That's not very kind, Giddy Uncle John. No, it's not kind at all. I think you should go and read some more of the diary, and that'll just send him off. That'll finish him off. Well, that's probably not a bad idea, I suppose. But, I mean, do we know that my diary will send him to sleep? I mean, if romantic comedies and cute animal films make him mad, maybe my dull diary will make him, hyperactive. No, Paul, that's not possible. Your diary will only have one effect on anyone. That's to make them very sleepy. Episode 520 was our next episode, released on the 29th of March, The Glad Return of the Open Universe University. It was a sequel to an episode that Troby and Lisa and I had done, again, I forget, was that in 2021? We were talking about how we could educate people, sort of taking specialist subjects and lecturing to you, the listeners. And this time we were back with more science and history And yeah, I think I might have talked about Sutton Park as my expert subject.
And the last Hammer film that I've watched to date, well, I've actually watched that before these, but the last one that I'm going to talk about today is Dracula AD 1972, which is Hammer's attempt to bring the legend of Dracula into the then modern times. And the reason I thought I'd watch this one is because that's the year I was born, 1972, and I thought it might be quite fun to see what kind of world it was like. And to be honest, there's quite a lot of annoying people in it, because there's this whole group of friends who are friends with this character called Johnny Alucard, which is Dracula backwards. Nobody works this out. But yeah, basically, he brings Dracula back to life by sacrificing one of the groups, played by Caroline Munro, and he then goes on to try and get Van Helsing's the Van Helsing that he fought, because the film starts with Van Helsing and Dracula fighting on a coach, and Dracula gets staked by one of the spokes of the wheels, and then that particular Van Helsing dies, and then we cut to 1972, which is almost 100 years later, and it's his sort of great-grandson or his grandson, and his granddaughter, who's played by Stephanie Beacham, is Christopher Lee wants to turn her into a vampire, because that would be revenge on the Van Helsing family.
Our last episode of March 2022 was episode 521, the last episode of the Shy Life podcast. Although it was released on the 31st of March, it was effectively our April Fool's episode. It was actually an episode that I recorded as an emergency last episode, but by this point it was, I can't remember, was it 2 or 3 years old, and a number of things had changed which made it sort of inaccurate should it have to be used as an emergency last episode. So I released it as an April Fool's episode instead. I've since recorded a new replacement final episode, emergency final episode, which will remain in the archives, well, either until it needs to be used, or hopefully if it doesn't, then it'll probably be released as a future April Fool's episode, or some sort of historical artifact. But yes.
So in a way, it's sad to end the show when we are on such a height. Who would have thought that I could have reached the peaks of 20 downloads?
You get a lot more than 20, Paul.
Oh, sorry, Ick.
Listeners, he's playing it down. He's playing for sympathy. He gets a lot more downloads than 20 per episode. Not that there'd be anything wrong if he did get 20 downloads per episode.
Yeah, all right, Ick.
I'm here. I can talk. As you see, he's just playing for sympathy again. Tony, he's all by himself.
All right, Ick. Come on, join me. We've got to say goodbye. Ick's going back to his home planet, and I'm going off into space. And if we can, we'll keep in touch and we'll let you know what's going on. Won't we, Ick?
Oh, yes. Oh, yes, listeners. Absolutely we will.
Right. Well, you take care out there and make sure you look after yourselves. Do keep in touch. Maybe I'll be able to, access my email from space. I'm not sure. Anyway, thanks again. And we'll catch up again one day, I hope.
Paul, there's some messages coming through. Paul, there are messages.
We haven't got time. I'm running the theme music.
Paul, I'm playing them.
You can't play them. I'm running the music.
Stop that music. Stop that music.
It's too late. It's too late, Ick. It's too late.
No, it's not too late. Listen to these messages.
Oh, for goodness sake, I forgot about this bit. All right, play the messages. Hello, it's me, Yeti Uncle John. Just wanted to say, I can't let you go to space by yourself, Paul. I want to come. I want to come to space with you.
Beep.
Hello, Paul. It's me, Cromitty. I've thought about it quite a lot, and I have decided that, yes, count me in. I'll be coming to space with you. It sounds like a wonderful idea. I'm a little bit nervous, but I'm going to come.
Oh, and me too. And me too, Paul. Martin, I want to come as well.
Oh, that's marvellous, Martin. Marvellous news. We'll both be coming.
Hello, darling, it's me, Bettina. Darius and I have been talking, and we've decided we can't let you go to space without us. So, pick us up on the way, will you, when you leave? Is that possible? Oh, yes, I'm sure he can pick us up, dear. Yes, darling. So we'll be coming up into space with you. It sounds like a wonderful experience. I'm sure it'll be great fun. I'm sure we'll work out things like doing acting on other planets or something. Yes, I'm sure we will. Yes.
Beep.
Paul, I've decided that the football team is not important. I'm going to come to space with you. All right. Let me know. I'll be there. Coming to space with you.
Beep.
Hello. It's me, Charlie. I've decided that I would like to come to space with you because I imagine there's lots of pies in space. And, I can start a new collection of space pies. It's quite exciting. I can't let down the opportunity.
Well, Paul, I can't believe how busy we were in those first 3 months. I know, Cromitty, I know. There was one or two that you were involved in. Well, quite a few, Paul. I think I was involved with quite a lot of those episodes. No, I think you're probably right. But there were one or two that actually, you were the main star of the show. Oh yes, I noticed that. But what about next? What comes next? Well, I'm going to talk about the episodes we released in April, May, and June. Oh, I imagine there was a lot going on. Oh, there was, yes, and I think we might be getting around to talking about our other Gold Star contributor for 2022. Oh, who was the other one? Oh, well, Warren, because although we haven't reached the episodes where, he appeared as a solo star, we will be getting to those soon. But also there's another Gold Star contributor who's a Gold Star contributor for a number of reasons, but he could well have been contributing already at this point. But let's just wait until he makes his first recorded appearance. But Paul, he's all such a mystery. I'm sure you can guess what I'm talking about. But anyway, let's move on to April. Okay, let's move on to April, when we released 9 episodes, starting with episode 522, Comic Book Ryan's Triumphant Return from Space. Now, we recorded with Ryan a lot in 2021, but less this year, because he's been super busy. But we have done at least 2 episodes, and there are 1 or 2 cameos, not complete episodes, so yeah, hopefully we'll get him back in 2023.
Hello, I am the Dark Knight. I was just wondering if you might be interested in me doing appearances at your shop, good sir. Good sir.
And just what Dark Knight are you?
I'm the Polka Dot Dark Knight. It's you probably don't know this, but on Earth we're a bit further ahead in the series. Batman. And Batman's trying. He's given up being like a crime fighter, and he's decided to be a children's entertainer. And this is the costume that I am wearing. And I'll be happy to provide you with similar suits to sell, but I'm also happy to sign because I am the actor who plays him in the film. Yes.
Well, I've heard of Batman being in like all the colors of the rainbow, but polka dots is new. Can you tell me exactly what issue he wears this polka dot?
Well, this is in a movie, a little scene movie, because it's very new. But obviously there will be comics coming out soon too. Yes, it's Batman, the children's entertainer, the dark children's entertainer. Well, polka dot children's entertainer. Yes.
Is it part of the Batman Scooby-Doo crossover?
Yes, if you want it to be, yes, it is. Yes. So this mask is so hot. I'm gonna have to take it off. Oh, look, sorry, Ryan, it's me again, Yeti Uncle John. Why are you working in every single shop I walk into? I'm just trying to get rid of this suit. I asked for them to be properly made, and they turned up like all covered in polka dots, and I can't get rid of them.
Maybe next time you should order them from DC Comics instead of some random back alley?
Maybe. I just thought that perhaps the people of Mercury wouldn't be so... I didn't expect to see you here. I thought that I might be able to convince them about this new sort of... film.
They have the internet here as well, so I don't know how far you would have gotten.
I'm sorry, I feel ashamed, but not that ashamed. I think I might go and see you. You're not going to work on Venus this week, are you? I'll go and have a look. I'll go there.
Not that I'm aware of, but I guess we'll see. I think I've just fated to run into you at every store that I work at.
Oh, well, if we're drawn together like things that are drawn together, yes. Oh, I better go. Nice seeing you, Ryan. Nice seeing you.
Nice to see you too. Good luck, Yeti Uncle John.
Thank you. Yes.
Following that, we have episode 523, A Yeti Stuck in Woking Station. There are quizzes, some new music from Muffley on Tour, Sutton Park clip, and I was bumping into various different regulars at Woking Railway Station, and it actually was recorded at Woking Railway Station when I was waiting for some trains. Although in the episode I said I was stuck at Woking Railway Station, when the truth was I had nothing else to do that day, and on the way back I deliberately hung around for an extra hour or so recording the links whilst I drank a coffee. So the train's beginning to move again. I don't have one for about half an hour, so I'm able to sit here. But I am with somebody who is also on their way home. It's young Mr. Cromarty. Oh, poor young Mr. Cromarty. Well, it's true, you're relatively young. Oh dear. Well, I guess so. Well, so yes, I just bumped into Yeti Uncle John. He's off to a beer festival. Oh, yes, he likes his beer festivals. He does. But what about you? Where are you on your way back from? Oh, well, I spent the evening with Milo. Oh, that's good. Was it a nice evening? Oh, yes, Paul. It was a very good evening indeed. Well, I'm very pleased to hear it. I wasn't sure how things were going with you two. Well, there was lots of niceness. I did very much enjoy it. We went to the Gourmet Burger Kitchen. The Gourmet Burger Kitchen. Well, I do like that. And was Milo very small, or was he very tall, or normal, or whatever? Oh, Paul. No, he appeared like full size, because
it's very easy to get, to accidentally fall in the dip when you're being a chip or something. When you're being a chip. Oh, you mean like the size of a chip, or you're trying to eat a chip? Well, yes, that's what I meant. Although it is much cheaper, you can just nibble a bit of my burger or a little chip. It is cheaper, but it's not so. People do tend to stare. They probably shouldn't. No, I mean, that's rude. Staring. Yes, well. Next up, we have episode 424, released on the 12th of April. Paul and Warren are full of horror. Now, this was the first proper episode we did with Warren, where he was in it from beginning to end. We talked about Amicus movies from the 60s and 70s, not just the horror ones either. And then I sort of talked about some of my favourite Italian horror directors. Of course, Warren does his own film podcast, The Cinematic Sausage, which I've been on a number of times. And so, yes, this was not Warren's first appearance, but Warren's first solo appearance where he was the guest for the whole episode.
You're coming to two of the worst films ever made by Amicus now on your list.
What, They Came From Beyond Space and The Terranauts?
Yes, have you seen either of those two?
I feel like I might have. But it may have been wiped from my brain.
Yes, Terranauts is the one with Charles Hawtrey in.
Yes, no, The Terranauts, yes, I have definitely seen that one. I remember you talked about it on your show as well.
Yeah.
And, I have seen that. That's very bizarre because it somehow, like, considering the films that they made before this, it's almost like they just let a party of school children in to direct or something. Everything's just absolutely awful. It's like I've been allowed to start directing or something.
No, you'd make a far better job than the director on those ever did. I mean, they're cheap back-to-backers, and they're literally jumping into the market of just cheap science fiction films. And they are typical twee British science fiction films with no money. I know Simon Oates is in Terranauts. I think They Came From Beyond Space. Hasn't that got... oh, no, I can't even remember. I'm going to have to look that one up now.
I'm not even sure. It's got a big cast. It's got Michael Gough in it.
Bernard Kay. Yeah, Bernard Kay's the baddie. Wearing the height of sartorial elegance of the late 60s, a polo neck. I'm invading the world wearing a polo neck.
Around this time I did a new advert for 2022. They were always fun to do, although I'm sure they're much too long, most of the adverts I do. Right, guys, I want you all to describe the Shylock podcast in a few words. You got a minute?
A minute?
Oh dear, just a minute. Get your Uncle John. Do a minute. All right, 90 seconds. All right, Shylock podcast is a show of quizzes and trivia and mischief. Good. Iggy Alien?
The Shylock podcast is a show full of special guests and journeys out into space.
Great. Quality. The Shylock podcast is a show that is not like any other show. It has archive footage from like 30 years ago of things that you, Paul, you were up to. Yes, good. Martin.
The Shylock podcast is a show full of adventure and mystery. There are vampires and space aliens and all sorts.
Good. Right. Okay, Bettina Dupre.
Oh, darling, the Shylock podcast is a show full of glamour and, stories and people talking about subjects that they find interesting. Lots of chat and conversation.
Perfect. August.
Oh, wait, the Shylock podcast is an artistic show. Yes, a show full of beautiful art.
Yes, all right.
Oh, and pies.
And pies, right, yes, okay. Right, well, I think that's about it. That's what we've got time for. Listeners, my name's Paul the Shy Yeti, and this is my show, the Shylock Podcast, and these are my co-hosts, plus lots of guests I have. And yes, you really should listen. We're quite different from most podcasts. We're stranger, weirder, odder, and we do have space aliens and vampires. All right. Please join us. Oh, did I miss the advert? Oh, what a pity. I'm Charlie Gurr. I'm a bear. I eat all the pies. The Sherlock Podcast. The only podcast I know where they talk about pies. The next episode was episode 525. The hunt is on for the Yoga Vampires. Yes, the Yoga Vampires were back. We employed a vampire hunter, Diggory Jacobs, but, it wasn't quite as we expected. This one was recorded in Richmond Park. In fact, it was recorded in Richmond Park a couple of months before it was released. I remember it being pretty chilly, although really sunny. I think I did a little photo shoot with Ben the Hen, yeah, I got some good photos that day, but it was pretty chilly. Well, I think it was quite okay to start with, but I think as the afternoon moved on, I suddenly, perhaps the sun moved around slightly, and I went to the same part of Richmond Park that I tend to go to, but I went on a different path, and it was quite atmospheric.
There are a lot of people around. I can see there's like cyclists and dog walkers, and considering that these vampires can just wander around. I mean, it is a lovely sunny day, but it's still a wintry day. It's not the same as a summer's day, and it's very hazy. I mean, it's good for photos, not the ones that Yeti Uncle John are taking so much. I mean, it's good for that because he's got like a zoom lens, but no, I've been taking some photos, listeners, whilst I've been waiting and sitting there eating my cheese and crackers. I'm quite jealous of you, Paul. You've come with provisions. I never thought about doing that. Oh, it's okay. We've got to get the bus back to Surbiton later, so we can always nip into Marks and Spencer's. That's if we don't get vampired.
Paul, I don't think anyone's intending to get vampired.
No. I did bring some garlic, but I just don't know if vampires don't like garlic anymore. I think Giddy Uncle John has a couple of crosses as well, silver crosses. Again, I don't know that vampires give a damn about that, but I think a lot of the traditions about vampires are far outdated, mostly by movies and books and things, because, you can't write a book and have a baddie that can't be vanquished at all. They always have to have, they always have to be fallible, and I'm sure they still are fallible, but maybe in a different way. Maybe it's something else.
Following that, we had episode 526. It's time for a springish chatterbox. So yes, this was our second chatterbox of 2022. We had Andrew and Lisa, we had Martin Holmes, we had Toppy Smelly, and we also had Nick. So yes, I don't think Warren was available for that one, but we did have Nick. There were quizzes, trivia, TV chat, flashbacks to old episodes. It was a busy show. Following that, episode 527, Shy Yeti and the Great Radio Dull FM debacle. There are more diary entries in this one. Yeti Uncle John was not being completely honest about why he wanted me to record them either, but Radio Dull FM and the payment that he was receiving was behind all that. We also had new music from Muffley on Tour, a little chat with Wifey Joe, and further Sutton Park clips. Following that, we had episode 528, Paul and Lee and the big hits of 1997. As you know, Lee's been on the show a number of times talking about music, and he's on a number of different podcasts, so he's a busy podcaster. But we are continuing our wander through 90s music, and this time it was 1997. Hopefully we'll get Lee back again soon.
Michelle Gale from EastEnders, do you know?
Michelle.
I don't remember that one, but I do remember liking at least one of her singles.
She had quite a few. She had one album that was big that had quite a number of hit singles on it.
Well, Mark Owen was doing his solo stuff. Clementine, number 3.
Oh.
What else? Manson, She Makes My Nose Bleed. Novocaine for the Soul by the Eels. These are all top 10.
It was very mixed, wasn't it? It was very kind of, there wasn't just like one sort of genre of music. There was the pop, you got your indie, you'd got your hip hop, you'd got your dance. So yeah, it was
got the second wave of Britpop, but they just weren't quite as, they were less known band, or they were bands that aren't known a bit as much now. We've got the Bee Gees having a top 5 hit. Alone.
Oh, I don't remember that one.
James, She's a Star, that was number 9.
Okay, I've got Janet Jackson with Together Again. That was a number 4 hit. Love Fool by the Cardigans, that was at number 2. That was a good one.
Anton Deck. Oh, never mind. Following that, we had episode 529. Paul, Nick and Toppy Have Words. So this was our second recording session with Toppy in 2022. Toppy and I had an appointment with our therapist during this episode to try and resolve some of the issues we had with one another after the whole Yeti Uncle John debacle and Toppy siding with him last year. We compared words from across the pond, comparing what sort of different slang we have and things like that. That was quite fun to do. Following that, on our last episode of April, we had episode 530, A Flighty Trip to the Phoenix Sanctuary. We went to visit Dragon Albert, and there were various things going on with him, partly because Gulliver Tremaine was there, an old friend of ours, well, of Cobbity and mine, from back in the Sutton Park days. He was doing volunteer work at the Phoenix Sanctuary. Meanwhile, back at home, Yeti Uncle John and Ick were continuing their plans involving Radio FM and My Old Diary recordings. I promise I won't keep up this storage room for too long. I get through quite a lot of biscuits, per week, so yes. I mean, you're welcome to have some if you want.
I don't know that I'm that interested in biscuits, to be perfectly honest. But I have remembered something.
Oh, yes?
Yes. Biscuits. Wasn't that the payment that you were due from Radio Dial FM?
What?
You know what I'm talking about, those diary entries. I thought Paul decided that he didn't want any more to do with that radio station.
Oh, no, it's nothing to do with that.
It's Uncle John. The boxes have a stamp on it, saying Radio Dial FM. I'm not stupid, you know.
Oh, blimey.
What's been going on?
I can never lie to you, can I?
No, you can't.
Yes. So I've been recording Paul without him knowing, and I've been sending the tapes into Radio Dial FM, and, it's just that Paul doesn't know anything about it.
Oh, Yeti Uncle John. Back in your naughty ways.
Oh, it's not as naughty as it sounds. I mean, what does it matter? It's just, no one's hurt. No one's getting hurt.
No one's getting hurt, but it's dishonest. Yeti Uncle John. It's dishonest.
Oh, it might be dishonest, but I want those biscuits. I wanted them so badly. When I saw the biscuits on offer, I couldn't resist it. I'm a weak man, Ick. I'm a weak man.
Yes, you are. There's a joke in there somewhere, I'm sure.
Oh, look, please don't say anything to Paul. I don't want him to know about this.
You put me in a very difficult situation. All right, I won't say anything. But if he finds out, you're storing boxes in my UFO, then I'll play ignorant as far as what they are. I don't want anything to do with this. I don't agree with any of it. But, oh dear. Come on, let's have a cup of tea and bring one of your packets of biscuits. I'll try them at least.
Oh, yes. All right, I'll bring a packet of biscuits. Thanks, Ick. Sorry for getting you involved in this. I know it's bad. I know it's naughty of me. But I'll say, oh dear.
I'm disappointed in you, yes, Uncle John, but I'm used to being disappointed in you.
Oh dear. I'm really sorry.
Oh, this is a lovely lunch, Albert.
Thanks for that, Tallulah. I'm glad you're enjoying it.
Oh, I am, yes. So much variety.
And how are you doing with your recording of the Phoenixes?
Oh, very well. Yes, very well indeed.
I'm very pleased to hear it.
What exactly are you making, dear lady?
Oh, well, because Albert has a Phoenix choir. I just thought it would be nice to incorporate it on one of the tracks I'm working on for a performance that I'm doing at the end of term.
Sounds wonderful. Gosh, I wonder, maybe I'd be able to get down to see the performance. It does sound splendid.
Well, I think it's going to be live streamed, but obviously we'd like to have you there in the audience if you could.
Sounds amazing. I'm gonna be there too.
Oh, of course. This food's amazing.
It is, isn't it? Gosh, it's nice to be able to, have a sort of outdoor buffet. It's not exactly summer yet, is it? But the weather is good today.
Yeah, Paul. Can I ask you something? You look a bit distracted.
Yeah, I overheard something. I think something I shouldn't have overheard.
Oh right, what? What did you hear?
I heard Tremaine Gulliver asking Cromitty if he wanted to live with him in Sutton Park because, everything that's been going on down here has obviously been getting to Cromitty, and he was suggesting that Cromitty have an extended break, maybe not permanently, but...
Wow, I didn't realise that things were that bad.
Well, with the yoga vampires and Yeti Uncle John and things not being exactly great with Milo, and plus everything else. What with me eating those experiments of his and going small and tall and, Moving on to May 2022, we had 9 episodes that month, starting with episode 531, Shy Yeti's Week of Many Chattings. That was released on the 2nd of May. We went to visit my parents, but chatted to many different friends, either in person or online. There were some old clips, there was new music, and Troby, Toppy, Nick G, Lee, Callum, Warren, Martin, Harry, my mum were all involved. It was a bumper-length episode too.
Yeah, so I was based in Rennes, and that was my base. But the main place that I wanted to go to was Mont Saint Michel.
Yeah.
So I got my. Yeah.
Did you actually stay overnight there, or just for
yeah?
A day?
So, this is just my own crappy sort of planning and not really thinking things through. But the French SNCF trains get booked massively ahead of time, and my original idea was to be based in Rennes and literally just go for a day trip. But when I tried to book the trains, I found that I could only do it on consecutive days. So go out, but nothing in the evening coming back at all. So I got a train booked for the following day.
Yeah.
And that meant that I needed to stay over in Mont Saint Michel, but I managed to find a decent enough hotel in Mont Saint Michel.
Actually, I spoke to my mum, but we weren't sure what sort of accommodation they were, because we went there, but literally 29 years ago, on a day trip from Jersey, I think, and it does appear in a relatively early episode of Sutton Park, but I still, obviously, I can remember shops and stuff, but I can't remember sort of accommodation other than maybe accommodation for locals or something. But they've got probably 2 or 3 hotels there, and of course
they massively overcharge. But you're basically you're staying at a World Heritage site, so you're paying more than you would normally do for what you're getting. But it was shelter, and there was breakfast, and it was a nice enough place.
I only asked because I saw your Facebook post about you looking around early in the morning. I thought, well, he must have stayed over because he couldn't have been there in the early morning 2 days
exactly
otherwise.
No, so I got there. So day one, I basically got there and went to the abbey, which dominates Mont Saint Michel, which has been around for centuries. And then I stayed over, and it did mean that I could get up quite early in the morning and have a walk around the ramparts that surround Mont Saint Michel, and it affords you a look over the bay.
Following this, we had episode 532, Meanwhile Behind the Scenes Back in the Day. This was all about a mixture of talking about Nick's films, or the films that we all did together in the 90s, and also how behind the scenes I'd be doing Sutton Park. So we sort of talked about both to a certain extent. It's actually the first of a sort of two-part series, but the second part hasn't come out yet. But I mean, it's only a two-part series in that this was us talking about the 1990s, and there's another episode talking about the 2000s, which I'm sure I'll put out in early 2023.
That was the nearest I came to TV studio kind of pressure, because we had the venue for only a limited amount of time, and certain members of the cast who will remain nameless, not yourself, but should have brought the lights up and didn't. So we had to shoot some scenes in darkness. Other people didn't turn up at all, or they didn't turn up when they should have done. And I had a bit of a nightmare with the first night, and we overrun by an hour. And the very irate hirers came down and said, look, this isn't on. It's 11 o'clock at night. He was like, I'm sorry. And I was absolutely skint at the time, because I was working all hours at Index, but it was very, very tight. And we went back and we lost one of the lead characters, Toby James, who was playing the main American kind of nerd character. He couldn't make it, and we had to pick up all his scenes. I thought, ooh, what are we going to do? And Toby and I put our heads together and actually amalgamated the script. So you gained more lines, Chris gained more lines, Toby gained more lines, and because the character was supposed to come on and introduce each other, and kind of go over to you. We'll re-meet you because we've already met your character, and we'll meet Chris's character, Anton, and then he was going to go over the other side of for the preparations for the convention and meet Toby's character, Baz, and I thought, well, that's the basic purpose of the scene. So why don't we just sort of set them on each other, And so we had Toby coming over, and sort of through his dialogue, which was adapted, we were able to do that. And then Troby went over, and then you thought, interview technique. So we had you following Troby over, and at the end of the time, so Toby originally went over and said to Troby, Baz, this is a great honour. And so we had you go over to Troby and said, this must be a great honour for you, and stuff like that. And it actually worked really, really well. When you see the film, you kind of forget that there was a problem. And indeed, one of the studio theatre people, Leslie Bates, who was one of their sort of most respected directors, actually, because we were feeding her the lines because we had to reshoot the whole thing in different order, actually really enjoyed working that way. So there we go. That was sort of by the seat of our pants. And because we had to really think quickly, because Roger Crisp, who was playing the TV producer, had to go early, and we had to sort of, right, so let's draw this in a bit, and we need to, so it really focuses your mind. So we actually got out in good time, but we needed a remount just for the bits that we missed.
Following that, we had episode 533, Bettina Evans Dupre and the Fiend in Flared Jeans. Yeah, I received an anonymous letter during this one. I don't think we've ever found out who that came from. Somebody was accusing me of doing silly voices for some of the characters on the show, and I had to put my foot down and say that's not the case. Also, Bettina, discussed with us one of her 60s movies, Fiend in Flared Jeans. But meanwhile, Irk and Uncle John were having a squabble about their illicitly acquired biscuits. There was also a quiz with Callum, not to mention some archive clips.
So I went to, in late 68, I got invited to go to a little do for the Kinks for an album of theirs called the Village Green Preservation Society. I know you like that one.
Oh, yes, very much.
You know, that didn't do so well at the time, but has done a lot better over the years. So, one of my favourite albums.
Yeah, one of my favourites too. I think it was sort of revived a bit in the 90s when, Blur did Parklife.
Yes, I remember reading about that. Well, I remember it, but, yes, I think I remember it. Oh, gosh. Well, I'm sure there are many other stories I can think of, but I think I've run out of anecdotes, darling.
No, Bettina, that's fantastic. Going to play one last clip. This is from later in the movie, when Petula thinks that Ursula's going to kill her.
That's right, darling. I like this one. Go on, play it. Ursula, why are you carrying that knife? Why do you think I'm carrying it, Petula? It's because I have a message from it for you. A message from the knife? Yes, Petula, I have a message from the knife. It says that now is the time for you to say your goodbyes, because you have lived this life for far too long. Now it is my turn. Oh, Ursula, no. Please don't kill me. If you want this house, if you want my fortune, just take it. Just let me go. You don't have to kill me. But I do, Petula. But I do. You cannot be trusted. I can't let you walk out of the door. You're not just going to hand it all over. Let the knife decide. I have talked to the knife, and the knife has told me there is only one thing to do. I let the knife decide. Your fate, Petula. Oh, no!
Oh, I love that scene. Amazing scene.
Oh, yes, well, Oh, dear. I didn't get twice the pay, unfortunately. I did, like, with the dubbing, but not with the performing. Oh, still one of my most treasured moments on screen, I think. I'm so glad that people are beginning to hear more about it. And, yes.
Following that, we had episode 534, released on the 10th of May. Shayeti presents Big Hits from the mid-1950s. It was the second of our 4 episodes, with Martin Holmes and I discussing the big hits of the 1950s. This time we were talking about 1954 and 1955.
This old house, ba ba da ba ba. This old house, ba 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 ba. La 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 la. La 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 la. I don't need this house no longer. Don't need this house no more. I get tired to beat the tingles. Oh dear. Already in 1955. Dicky Valentine. Mambo Italiano. Mumbo Tillion, Mumbo Tilly, blah 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 blah, Mumbo blah 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 blah. Yes. I'm a stranger in paradise. I'm a stranger in paradise. Oh, this one. Unchained Melody. La, 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 la. That sounds like something else. Ooh, 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 I'm the man from Laramie. I'm the man from Laramie. Ooh, 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 I'm the man from Laramie. Yes, I am, yes, I am, yes, yes, I am.
I don't think that's how that song goes.
Oh, right. How does it go then, Paul?
I have no idea. I'm not the one who's supposed to be singing the songs.
Well, keep your mouth shut then.
Ick!
I'm trying to perform. I'm an artiste. Here we go. I'm gonna walk around the clock tonight. I walk around the clock tonight. I'm gonna walk around the clock tonight. And the uptight speed, 4 and 5, I'm gonna drive. Gonna walk around the clock tonight. I'm gonna walk around the clock.
That was quite something.
I'm finished now.
What, already?
Yes, I have. I have tired myself out rocking round the clock.
Have you now? After that, episode 535, Shayeti's brand new podcasting studio. Yeah. Of course, I don't have the library podcasting studio anymore, so I was looking for somewhere new. And I ended up, very briefly, having a podcasting studio which was in the waiting room at a local railway station. Yeah. I was trying to encourage the guests and the regulars that it was a good idea, but, well, anyway, luckily we came up with a better option, but that's a little bit in the future.
So, Charlie, it's marvellous to have you here. Where am I supposed to be? You're in my new, my new library podcasting studios. But they're in a waiting room on a railway station. All right, Paul. Yes. Can you pretend you're actually here? But I'm on Skype, Paul. No, pretend you're actually here. Oh, okay, yes. I like your new recording studios, Paul. They are very modern and, yes, cosy. Yes, they are. Aren't they cosy? Yeah. So how have you been? Well, I've been fine, Paul, yes. Been eating lots of pies. I've been, teaching pies. Teaching pies? Yes, Paul, teaching pies. How to be good at being pies. I didn't know that was a thing. I thought pies were just immediately good at being pies. Except for the ones that get burnt or don't survive being cooked. Please, Paul, don't say such a thing. No, sorry, I just mean I didn't realise. That pies needed teaching. Of course, it's like a finishing school. Believe it or not, sometimes children are nice naturally, but they can be improved by sending to finishing school. It is the same with pies. I didn't know that. Wow, that is amazing. So I don't know how you have time for all of this. Teaching pies and eating pies and being a famous, film star in Bulgaria and a musician and a writer. You just seem to pack it in more and more. Well, it is the pies that give me my inspiration, Paul. I could not do it without them. No, I suppose. Absolutely, yeah. Well, we're so glad that you could join us here in the new studio. And in the new where, Paul? In the new studio, the new podcasting studio here on the railway station. Oh, yes, sorry, I thought I forgot. Yes, it is very nice in here. You can have a coffee as well. We have a coffee stand just across from here. Yes, that's very nice, Paul. Do they sell pies? I don't think they sell pies, but I'm sure they might sell mince pies at Christmas. I'm sure we can get something sorted for you. Useful. There's not much point as I'm not here. But, Charlie, I was trying to explain, because I couldn't attract that many people to come to the new podcasting studio. I needed you to pretend you were here. And then I just dub over the sound effect. Is this still recording, Paul? What? No, I just edited this bit out. But you always forget to do things like that. No, I don't. Oh, dear.
Next up was episode 536, The Telefantastic Return of Uncle Warren, released on the 19th of May. We had Warren back to help transport an old box of DVDs, which used to belong to Cromity's friend Milo. And it sort of began our discussion about old TV, which we've continued throughout the year. Whereas when Warren appeared last time, we talked about horror films. This time we talked about British TV from 1977 and 1983. And there was also some 1998 Sutton Park clips. Following that, we had episode 537, The Mystery of the Secret Biscuit Stash. Steffi Martin and Cromity were trying to investigate what was going on with Yeti Uncle John and Here Come the Spaceship. They were suspicious that something was going on, and were determined to solve the mystery. We also had some Sutton Park clips from spring 1998.
We thought we'd just pop in. We just wanted to have a quick word.
Yeah. We won't be long. We just wondered, how things were.
Things are fine. Yes, very fine.
Is Yeti Uncle John here with you? And Ark?
No, Ark is in space with Sister Ooh, just doing some learning today. Yeti Uncle John, he was about. He's just going to get some fish and chips, as we haven't had any lunch today.
Oh, I thought you only ate biscuits these days.
Only ate what?
Biscuits. Someone told me you got some nice biscuits. We were wondering if we could have a cup of tea. We'd like to try one.
Who told you about the biscuits?
Paul told us he had a nice biscuit with you this morning when he came over.
Oh, yes, he was here. That was earlier.
Oh, yeah. May we come in?
Oh, yes, of course. Come in. Yes.
So has Yeti Uncle John been very busy? You must be almost finished with him putting up your curtains.
Oh, yes. All of my curtains are put up. They really are. Yes, they're put up. But I keep finding other jobs for him. He keeps out of mischief.
Oh, yes. Well, he does get in a lot of mischief.
He most certainly does, yes.
Yes. Okay. Let me go and put the kettle on.
Oh, yes. Whilst we're here, Eek, we wondered if things had changed.
I'm sorry. Things have changed?
Yes, when it comes to, the storeroom, or like a space for Paul. He's still persisting on doing his show from the waiting room at the railway station, and it really is cold up there, and there's interruptions, and it's echoey, and
I don't know why you can't share the laboratory.
Well, it does get busy down there, and even when Cromitie isn't there, Cuthbert's doing stuff, and he has that bum-dim-bum, bum-dim-bum, that noise.
Yes, that's true. That is Cuthbert's own unique noise.
Yes. Well, okay. I don't really have a space for Paul.
But you have so many storerooms.
Yes, but they are busy. I mean, full at the moment.
Yes. Rumour has it that Yeti Uncle John's storing more of his knockoff comics in your stores.
Oh no, that's not. I mean, yes, that might be true, but I could speak to him. Maybe he will move them somewhere else. But you see, he can't keep them in the Magpie Hut. He used to have some in the Magpie Hut, but that was more in the summer, and now it's, I guess we are coming through into the spring and summer again now, but He was worried about damp, so, yes.
He must have so many comics if he's taking up all of the storeroom space.
He is rather, yes.
But what about the biscuits?
The biscuits.
Didn't he win some biscuits? I heard, you know, I heard some rumours.
Rumours about biscuits. No. Who have you been talking to?
Well, mainly the magpies, and they do tend to exaggerate. Next up, we had episode 538, celebrating 6 years of the Shy Life. We were celebrating our 6th birthday. We had quizzes, we had clips from previous anniversary episodes. Bettina Dupre gave me some advice, and other regulars called in to share their birthday wishes. Our last episode of May was episode 539, Yeti Uncle John and the Surprise of the Fake Warhol. In this episode, I found, well, what can only be described as a fake Andy Warhol painting in Tallulah Twinklehorn's living room. And, well, we found out exactly where it came from and who had actually painted it. Yeah, you won't be surprised to know that Yeti Uncle John was somehow involved. Look, I did sell the painting, and there was one or two others. I sold them, but I didn't think they were particularly good. They only gave me a tenner for each. Well, I thought it looked pretty good. I thought it looked pretty authentic. I also thought that, you know, Andy Warhol painted a lot of pictures, and there'll be people out there who don't know what's a real Warhol and what isn't. I thought you might be taking advantage or working up to some big plan. I just thought that picture was really nice, and I thought it would be nice turned into a painting. But then the final result I didn't think was so good. I was going to present it to Bettina. In fact, that was one of the rejects. They have been perfecting them, and there will be a finished picture that I will present to her eventually. Really. Sorry, you said they. Yes, they. Who? Well, I didn't paint it, did I? I don't know anything about art. I know about August, and that's about it. Look, you've told me that it's in the Andy Warhol style. Well, I don't even know about Andy Warhol. So, if that is the case, that's not me. That's them. That's not me. That's them. Who? I didn't paint the picture. I provided the photo, but I didn't paint it. Well, who did? Oh, I thought that'd be obvious from the brushstrokes. It's the magpies. You what? The magpies. The magpies painted that picture, and if it's in the Warhol style, that's them. That's on them, not me. They obviously know a lot more about art than I do, and well, you know, I just noticed, you know, over the last few months that they are quite artistic, and I thought that maybe they might like to take it up. So the ones that I flogged down at the flea market are their early attempts. I didn't think they were that good, but then maybe I don't know what is a good Warhol style. I don't know. Goodness me, Yeti Uncle John, I can't believe it. The magpies painted that picture, the one in Tallulah's living room. Yes, Paul. We only got a tenner each. They have improved, though. I will be, as I say, presenting Bettina with a copy eventually. But I didn't know. I didn't know. Honestly, I didn't know about the Warhol thing. Oh, Yeti Uncle John. Well, maybe I have put two and two together. Are you sure you're not lying? I'm not lying.
He's not lying, Paul. I saw them do it. I don't know anything about art either. And, well, it wouldn't have occurred to me to have said, golly, that looks like an Andy Warhol painting.
Well, I believe you, Ick, if you saw it happening.
It's fantastic. I've never seen birds paint before. They kind of hold the brushes in their wings.
Yeah, it's fantastic. You should watch sometime. Well, that is fantastic. I would like to see it. I just had an awful feeling that you were trying to do a load of knockoff Andy Warhols and you'd get into trouble. It is a bit unfortunate that the magpies are painting in a style that's known, because there is actually a signature at the bottom that looks very much like Andy Warhol's signature. Blimey. Now, that's too coincidental. Oh dear, maybe they've been learning bad habits off me.
Oh, Yeti Uncle John.
Maybe my magpies are forgers. Oh, for goodness sake. Oh, dear, oh dear. Oh, my goodness. Yeti Uncle John.
Next up, we reached June. We released 10 episodes in June 2022. First up, episode 540, Shy Yeti's Fantabulous Telephone Box Treasure Trove. Now, this was an episode that my mum was part of, and we were talking all about the old red telephone box across the road from their house, which is now a home for stray books and various oddments. I also talked a bit about some of the books I've been reading. We talked about some of the books that were due to be going into the phone box that at the time my mum had a bit of a backlog. She couldn't get all the books into the box. There were more coming in than could go out, but I think that's actually changed. I think this is all top secret, but I don't know quite what's going on, but my mum has seen a mysterious car come to the phone box, and a lady trying to load quite a lot of stuff from the phone box into the back of her car, whether it's for a jumble sale, whether it's for a charity shop, whether it's for their own phone box. Well, she just doesn't know, but I don't think it's happened that many times, but it certainly cleared out the backlog, which is probably a good thing, to be honest. They can actually get to the piano now.
We're looking at some of the books that haven't yet got over to the phone box. Wherever they all come from. They're presumably people who live in the village, or do you think people come here from further afield?
I think there's definitely people from further afield. Sometimes I think because there are similar operations in villages nearby, I sometimes think that if they've got too much, they come and dump them into the next one. We have been a resource to that ourselves in the time of COVID with children's books.
I was going to say, has it got? Have you been getting more over the pandemic because people can't go to charity shops?
I think people used it more when the shops were closed. But then they also, it didn't make that much difference because although they used it more, they usually brought the books back. So that's partly how it all accumulated, situated under the piano. It'd be very difficult to use the loud or soft pedals at the moment.
And I have used that piano in the time that I've been doing the podcast. And there weren't books under there. I can see Stephen King.
Well, we get duplicate copies. For example, especially if somebody like Dan Brown, Robert Galbraith. We've had the Cuckoo's Calling. Whether it's the same copy which people read and then they bring it back, I don't know. But I have a feeling that it comes back so regularly that it's a popular book and various people put it in.
Next up we have episode 541, Bettina and the Desperate Mission for Biscuits. This is more radio FM business. Yeti Uncle John tried to get Bettina involved. The only problem, of course, being that even the most boring stories from Bettina Dupre are still fascinating. After this, we had episode 542, Shy Yeti's Not Really Very Jubilee Chatterbox. This was our next Chatterbox episode, our third of the year. None of us were particularly engaged with the Jubilee. This is, of course, before what happened to the Queen. She made it to her Jubilee, but not much longer. But it's one of those times where there was lots of things on the TV, just not our kind of TV, so it made more sense to record a new Chatterbox episode. Following that, episode 543, released on the 11th of June 2022, Cromitty and the Lair of the Jelly Snake. Now, Cromitty had had some bad dreams that he suspected came from the yoga vampires, dreams that would sort of lure him to join them, but there were ways around this that we found to try and help him. And I think Mr. Trowbridge was involved in some of the procedures to help him sort of keep the nightmares at bay.
I don't know how long you want to have a nap for, Cromitty. Oh, blimey, looks like he's dropped off already.
Oh, darling, he's not meant to drop off in here. Not in the lounge. He might drool on the cushions.
Yeah, it's not a good idea. Oh dear. A mixture of cake and tea and how tired he is. Let's see what to try and wake him up. Cromitty? Oh dear. No, I will not. I will not join you. Oh, doesn't sound very good, Paul. He's having some sort of dream.
Oh, darling. Oh dear, it's most unnerving.
Yes, it is. Cromitty, can you hear me? It's Paul. Cromitty, wake up.
Oh, give him a shake, dear.
I don't want to shake him. When we've done hypnosis, he's always said don't interrupt people when they're dreaming. And yes, but that's with hypnosis, not just sleepiness. I don't know. Cromitty, can you hear me? Oh, who is that? I hear a voice. It's me, Cromitty, Paul. Oh, yes. I hear you. What are you doing here? Trying to wake you up, Cromitty. No, you're wrong. What do you mean I'm wrong? This is not Cromitty. No, this is not Cromitty. This is me. Look into my eyes. Look into my eyes. Oh, Cromitty.
Oh, darling. Oh, what's wrong with him?
Oh, he looks possessed. His eyes. What's wrong with his eyes? Oh, I don't know, Paul. Like glowing.
Oh, darling, I don't like this. Please, I don't like this. Stop this, Cromitty.
I don't think he can. And as he said, it's not actually Cromitty. It's them possessing him or something. Oh, they can't do this to him. They can't do... What are you going to do? Oh, you cannot do anything. We are in his head. He's ours now. He's ours. Yes. Why not join us? Join us. We'll never join you. Give us back Cromitty, whoever you are, whatever you are.
Oh, it's horrible. Oh.
Following that, episode 544, Paul and Nick's Tremendous TV Tipple. We've done this a few times this year now. We cracked open a bottle of wine and we watched a number of different TV shows and films and shared our views on them. Trying to go for things that were sort of less famous, less well known. I chose an Italian rip-off of Alien called Alien 2, which I love. And we also watched the 70s Australian eco-thriller Long Weekend, which I think Nick particularly enjoyed. And then some other bits and pieces as well. Following that, episode 545, The Weird and Wonderful August Evans, a documentary. Bettina had a mission for me. It was pretty short notice. She needed me to produce a short documentary for a forthcoming festival which August is part of. So, I did my best and, produced this little documentary.
It's quite difficult avoiding the discussion. There can be endless documentaries about how we got to the point of August being August, but I don't think that the exhibition wanted us to bring that up, so we didn't. Although we did refer to the fact that we had known him before, but didn't realise, But no,
it's almost like my brush with celebrity, to be honest. Considering, how well known August is now.
I wonder if I should. I wonder if he left anything that I could sell on eBay. I don't know. This is the toilet seat that August Evans used to sit on.
I won't lie. That's crossed my mind as well. Of course, Walt and Jose are really lucky because they have so many of his original works. Although the last time, I don't know if it's my imagination, they seem to turn greener and greener. I think it's a trick of the light. But anyways,
didn't he make a lot of his early work involved? Wasn't he like using stuff like mud and moss and things? And getting natural color in the dye and stuff. So that might be
he called it something different. He didn't call it moss, but I think he said lichen. Is that possible?
Yeah, no, that would make sense. I don't think. I mean, everything's constantly changing. It's difficult to keep up with what he's doing.
I mean, I know, and I honestly, I don't know how you're going to put this all together in like how many hours did you get?
Oh well, I had about 12 hours worth of material, and I had to squidge it down to just half an hour. But it went down well, and the exhibition went well. But
okay, good. Is this? Am I going to be able to see it on Netflix soon?
I think we can send you a copy. I think because it was, I don't know I don't know who actually owns the copyright. I think Bettina and August probably do because it was for this exhibition. But I'm not sure. But I mean, if Netflix were interested, we could probably do an expanded edition.
Yeah,
it's just difficult. I mean, I can see at some point somebody's going to start digging into, well, who is this guy? And someone's going to let slip that, or they're going to go, just a minute, he looks very similar to that guy who was playing a tea kettle in that film, and someone's going to realise that Darius and August are the same person. Next up, episode 546, Guess Who, a very special guest indeed. This was our first, and I mentioned this earlier when I was speaking, Muffley on Tour is definitely our other person who deserves a gold star this year, not only for all the music he'd sent in, but being a good podcast guest and a returning podcast guest. And this was his first proper appearance on the show, and we talked about Doctor Who and books and podcasts and all sorts of shared interests.
I've just should say for everyone that my wife's French, so like I kind of have this thing where like she's getting introduced to lots of sort of British programs and things. So like she's aware of Doctor Who, but for her, she's more aware of Doctor Who being David Tennant, and that's her Doctor Who. That's like that's her thing. And then when you sort of say, there was this guy called Tom Baker, and he was like this eccentric bohemian, and he was just like very otherworldly and stuff. And then there's this other guy, William Hartnell, and this other one is like going down this whole kind of sort of rabbit hole. And then just the thing is, we've actually got French TV. We're a two-dish household here. Officially, legally, a two-dish household, no naughty streaming or anything. And we tend to watch more French TV. I don't tend to watch, I think Martin Holmes has mentioned this, he doesn't tend to watch much British current TV anymore because he just finds it so annoying, and I'm very much with that. We tend to watch more French TV because even like the game shows are more family orientated and fun and not cynical, and it's not like sort of let's laugh at the stupid person or laugh at the person who's a bit thick or whatever. It's more sort of inclusive. Although it was a bit bizarre, we had some friends over yesterday lunchtime because we're trying to sort out a cat feeding rota for Monroe when we go away, and we were just watching this sort of classic sort of family game show, and for some reason they had like this. It's a sports round, and they had like a picture round, and it was something like you had to sort of say, which Olympics was this in terms of, was it the Winter Olympics and such every year, and the sort of Summer Olympics from 1984. The picture of the Winter Olympics from one year was basically this bloke with his trousers down with his arse sticking out, and it's just it's like sort of Saturday lunchtime on French TV. It's just like, literally ooh la la, as they say, and French people do actually say ooh la la.
Now, following that, episode 547, Uncle Warren Gets the Grand Tour. Warren was back, and this time we were talking about 1976, 1985 and 1995, but I also decided it was probably time to introduce him to all of the team. Not only did we talk about those 3 years in TV, he had to meet all of the regulars, so yes, quite an exhausting episode for poor Warren. Come on, let's see. Martin, hi.
Hi, Paul. It's great to be here. Hi, Warren. Nice.
Hi, Martin. Pleased to meet you.
Yeah, I like your cologne. It's very nice.
Thank you very much.
Very nice.
It's German cologne.
Oh, right, yes. Well, it smells so nice. I'm very keen. I collect smells.
Oh, really?
The nice ones are my favourite, but the old mouldy cabbage I'll give a sniff to. It's all science, but
well, experimentation's the spice of life, isn't it?
Yes. Now, I come and meet my mum, Tallulah. I don't know if you know, but Tallulah is actually. Well, I didn't know that she was my mum until quite recently, and she's also the sister of August Evans, who is the husband of Bettina Dupre, who you'll be meeting later on. So, her name is Tallulah Twinklehorn, and August Evans used to be called Damius Twinklehorn, but that's before he. Anyway, it's all very complicated.
It's fine. It's fine. Well, you don't have to. It's fine. It's fine. It doesn't need to know everything.
I know. Mum, they're here. Oh, my darlings. Hello, come in. Oh, come in. Oh, Warren. Oh, how lovely to see you.
Oh, hello.
Oh,
hello.
Let me embrace you. Just stay here for a moment or two.
What an embrace.
My cream scones aren't quite ready yet. Would you prefer some crumpet?
Bit of crumpet would be nice, yes.
Right, well, Martin, is this normal?
I don't know. I haven't known it that long, but he has this effect on people, I think.
Apparently, you have this effect on people, Warren. So, well,
oh dear.
I think
I don't have that effect on myself.
Never mind. I think we're going to have to eat some more scones and drink some more tea. I hope you're up for that. But,
oh yes, I like a little bit in the afternoon.
It's good to finally meet you. We're glad you've joined.
And yourselves. I'm meeting
everybody. Are you meeting everybody?
Next up, episode 548, Yeti Uncle John's Delusions of Grandeur, a Genius in Waiting. Now, this was all about Yeti Uncle John sitting out too long in the sun and beginning to believe that he was a genius and beginning to hallucinate that people were telling him he was a genius. We also had some part clips and a true or false quiz.
Andrew, Lisa, it's so nice to have you here. And I was just thinking about I've been talking to quite a lot of people and my time in shame jail, I felt a little bit underappreciated, but I'm beginning to sort of rally and realise that there's a lot of things that I've achieved over the years, and I feel like for too long I've kept them under a stone or something, and I mean, you both know me well, so. Do you think I'm deluded, or do you think that maybe there's a little bit of genius in me after all?
Well, I think now is the chance for you to bounce back and to show off your genius, don't you, Lisa?
Yes, your underappreciated genius.
I mean, we were talking to Paul about the stars, and I think you are one of the shining stars in the Shy Life podcast firmament. Mm-hmm. Yes, and I've never seen a firmament than what you've got. You are.
I am very firm. Yes.
You are the firmest of the firmament. So yes. You are like a glittering star shining from on high, isn't he?
Yes.
We can only look up to you and be amazed at your perspicacity.
Yeah.
And any other parts that might go on show.
Yes.
I think you are the star, really. I mean,
you are the star of the Shy Life podcast.
Yeah, and I think you deserve all the praise I can heap upon you, and I have much to heap.
Yeah. I mean, you are like the sun, and we are like the little planets. You know, sort of going around you
in the shade.
In the shade.
Yeah.
Oh, so true, so true.
Yeah.
But
dazzled by your brilliance.
I don't like to blow my own trumpet, but I'm quite happy for other people to blow it for me.
Well, it's a very good trick if you can blow it on your own. You know, I think most people that actually do achieve that have to have one of their vertebrae taken out, but just to get that last angle of the dangle, as it were.
I don't fancy having anything removed.
No, but well, you could auction it if you had a vertebra out. I'm sure somebody on eBay would bid heavily on it, but maybe that is going a bit far. I don't know.
I hope it won't come to that.
No. But yeah, blow away, and I'm happy to blow for you.
Indeed.
What about you, Lisa? Would you blow his trumpet, or would you wipe the end first?
I might wipe the end first, but yeah.
Our last episode of June was episode 549, The Year Ginger Spice Went AWOL, the big hits of 1998. This was another episode with Lee about the big hits of 1998 on both sides of the pond. As I say, we had hoped to get Lee again on the show before the end of the year, but not only has he been busy, but I think he's had COVID about twice this year. So plans have been pushed back for the moment, but we've already done 1999, so I think the next time we record, we'll be talking about the year 2000. Yes.
Following that, we have another All Saints, and it's Booty Call for 1 week.
Oh, I loved a bit of booty call. It's a booty call.
Yeah. You can tell that they're aiming for the stakes because
definitely.
I don't know anybody over here that called it a booty call, but
booty
don't
call.
really use the word booty for a start.
No, never, ever. It's strange, apart from the boot of your car.
Yeah. So you're calling me someone you've kidnapped and stuck in a boot.
Whirlpool. It's the first 6 months of the year. It jolly well is, yes. First 6 months of the year. Very busy. Lots of episodes. You were in a great deal of them. Causing me trouble as ever. Oh, I expect you're referring to Radio.fm, are you? Well, yes, to a certain extent. I mean, you must admit that you did give me quite a hard time with all that business. Oh, well, I've apologised. Rick and I both got a bit addicted to the biscuits that we got that we got in payment, but you should have shared them around, shouldn't you? I guess so, Paul. Yes. Yeah. I mean, I don't know. Initially, I was quite offended that you were using my material to help put people asleep, but I guess an audience is an audience. You can't be too choosy. Oh yes. Well, I'm glad you see it like that, Paul. I do now, on second thoughts. But anyway, well, Paul, I better let you get on with it. It's good to see you, Uncle John. You don't want me to stick around? No, it's fine. I've just got to press on. Lots of episodes released this year. We want plenty of clips, so trying to just forge on. All right then, Paul. Good luck, and thank you very much.
Goodbye.
It's been good, but yeah, definitely time to come home now.
This show is part of the Pride 48 network. find more shows over at pride48.com.
Oh dear, what's going on now? Oh, it's the Shy Life Podcast.
Let's go.
I have a voice. I have a voice.
You have a voice.
You have a voice. We have a voice.
We have a voice.
Unique voices in podcasting.
UnivazPods.net.
Well, listeners, if you were expecting another 6 months, I'm afraid I'm going to have to disappoint you. We will be doing those next 6 months from July to December 2022, but you'll have to wait till next episode. As you can see, the first 6 months have taken us quite a while, and that wasn't even with clips from every episode. If we try and do the next 6 months, this episode's going to end up over 3 hours. And I have a rule, listeners. No episode's going to be longer than 3 hours, and I don't want to break that rule. So, yeah, that is it for today. But we'll be back very soon. This wasn't what I planned, but I've waffled so much as well. So, yes, we've got another 6 months for you coming any day now, so don't go too far. Thanks for listening to the review of the first half of 2022, but there's much, much more to come. Okay, you take care, and we'll be back very soon. Okay, bye for now.
I don't know. It's like he puts out 20,000 episodes a month.
Holy crow, that was a long episode.
Gee whiz, and the way Paul Chandler, the Cheyenne, travels around gives me a rash.
Oh, I think that was a wonderful episode, don't you, Toppy? I sure do. Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Oh my God, what was that? Was that 2 hours? It was at least 4 hours. How long was this podcast? I don't know. It was at least 5 hours. 601.
601. Hoo-wee, that was a long one today, huh, folks?
601. 601. Deals, stop it. 602. Deals, I'm recording.